Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. All of you watching no doubt know what a pivotal and challenging legislative session we have had here in Virginia this year, including the long wait for Virginia's House and Senate to pass a conference budget, which just took place this week. Fund Our Schools, our members, our partners, and other education advocates have been fighting for equitable school funding for our public schools in the midst of a pandemic that has led to heightened academic and emotional challenges for our students, documented burnout among our educators, just so many things. And also doing this in a political climate that has heavily targeted public education. And I just want to now switch over to our last priority that we'll discuss today, and that is protecting public school funding from efforts to divert that funding to other mechanisms. And we know in particular, as I noted, right, that we are in a certain political climate that public education has been targeted in many ways. And so this session involved not only a lot of offensive strategies, but also a lot of defensive strategies in trying to protect the funding that we do have and not having that directed elsewhere. And so I want to invite Shane to speak to efforts to prevent the diversion of public school funds this session, where those efforts stand, and how you think that things may move forward.
Thank you very much, Lauren, and thank you for inviting us on today to discuss the conference budget. So I'm Shane Riddle. I'm the VEA Government Relations Director, and Lauren, there's one thing we know, and that is that the evidence does not support the expansion of vouchers. We know that for a fact. And these voucher schemes, they come in the form of direct vouchers, education savings accounts, and tax credit schemes. And their purpose is to divert public funds to subsidize private or religious schools. And in addition, the Fund Our Schools Coalition stood up against several attempts to expand school voucher schemes in this year's General Assembly session. And we were very successful in advocating for the defeat of all of these voucher scheme proposals, which is good news. Now, in addition, one very important item in this year's conference budget is the reduction of funding for the Education Improvement Scholarship Tax Credit Program. That funding was reduced from 25 million to 12 million. There is no doubt that the voucher issue will be a continual fight in the upcoming sessions of the General Assembly. We're encouraging and urging all of our public education stakeholders to stand strong and to push back against these unproven schemes to divert public school funds to unaccountable private for-profit institutions. The research is clear that investing in public schools improves student outcomes, graduation, and post-secondary enrollment. And lawmakers should continue to invest in research-backed initiatives that our Board of Education and student advocacy groups in the state have been pointing to for years, like funding the revised standards of quality that we talked about earlier, and lifting the support cap, which we talked about earlier, which adds to our current support staff shortages. So these are very important public school priorities, and we just really need to stay away from any money that's diverted from public funds to private institutions.
Thank you, Shane.
Welcome.